Evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the regular school board, Board of Education meeting for November 28th, 2023. And I'd like to entertain a motion to go into open session.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Lindsay, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Roll call, please.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
Motion passed. We are now in open session. I would like to ask, let me look, I put my glasses on here. First, I'd like to say that, Mr. Ewing will not be with us today. Therefore, I will be presiding over the meeting. And, at this time, I'd like, Mr. Sebecki, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I would like to take this time to honor and a couple of our staff members that passed away recently. If we could have a moment of silence. Thank you all. The board met in closed session earlier under the exception of C1 and C21. And so we are now in open session. And next on the agenda is the president's report. The president's report, I just would like to say that I am trusting that each of you had a great Thanksgiving holiday. We have, this is our last meeting for November, and we do have 2 meetings in December, the regular board meeting, and then our student achievement meeting, and then we will be on Christmas break until January. And there's no superintendent's report. Oh, excuse me. At this time, I'll turn it over to the student board member. And he has been requested to go to the podium this evening.
Actually, I might as well just grab it. Hi, everyone. Today I'm here at the podium on the request of Mr. Saiden from the Lake County News Sun. And today we're going to talk about my 15th student board member report. Next slide, please. Next slide. And today's statement actually comes from the new movie, The Hunger Games, the Ballet of Songbirds and Snakes. I did go watch it with my friends on Wednesday. And for everyone that doesn't know, The Hunger Games is a science fiction storyline set in the United States many hundred years from now, right? Can we go on to the next slide? The quote from the book, this comes from the prequel, not the original 3. Fear is the fuel of hate, and hate is the parent of revenge by Susan Collins, who is the writer of the series. I feel that this quote is very, very important, specifically in the times that we live in, right? That sometimes fear, if it's constituted or not, depending on the situation, sometimes leads to hate. May that be consequential in many regards, right? And sometimes that hate leads to revenge for items that don't need to be pushed for, right? And as we see across our country, through history, and through now across the world, that sometimes our fear for the unknown, for things that are different than ourselves, sometimes pushes that hate and then leads for a revenge that isn't asked for. And as a community, I do ask, and for our students who are multicultural, that come from multiple backgrounds and know their history and know who they come from, right, to really push that multiculturalism and understand that just because someone's different does not mean they're an enemy, that they're supposed to be someone they need to fight against. Rather, we're all same in the eyes of any deity that you praise to or none at all, right? And that is my statement for today. Next slide, please. New business, next slide. Yes, I had a meeting with the College and Career Center last week to really discuss, I'm trying to look at this, discuss and brainstorm student engagement to the College and Career Center, really getting students into there and really starting their college and career planning, especially for juniors and seniors, and really pushing that for freshmen and sophomores, and creating plans to really bring students into the center and push it out more towards students across our campuses. Next slide, please. Meeting with the Joaquin High School administration. This was actually yesterday to continue discussions and logistical planning on anti-discrimination, anti-racist policy. This was with Member Lensing and the principals at Washington, Brookside, and AOEC to really discuss logistics and really push for how we're going to really do this and continue on planning for that. Next slide, please. Community spotlight, next slide. The agenda cover contest. Unfortunately, the contest has ended, but I did want to talk about a little bit about it for students that have already submitted applications and stuff like that, and let the board know what this is. Pretty much the agenda contest is about creating the cover for the agenda that students get every year for planning and stuff like that. So once we get the design and stuff like that, I wish best of luck for all the students that pushed for it. Actually, one of my friends actually did it too, so I'm not saying that she should win, but, you know, just good luck to everybody else that got into this contest, and best of luck. Next slide, please. The Veterans Day Parade. Yes. As always, the ROTC program goes to commemorate our veterans, retired and active. And unfortunately, this year, the regiment couldn't go because of weather and just because of the cold weather. But as you can see, our regimental commander, Juliana Reyes, and her staff behind her, and further down was the drill team doing performances, and my first sergeant, actually, Delel Espinoza, did sing the national anthem, as she always does, very beautifully, right? And as always, I really want to thank the ROTC program, the program that I'm in, for doing all these events and showing the community that students are involved in every single sphere of education. Next slide, please. Yes, the Joaquin High School Halloween contest. The Joaquin High School did do a teachers and staff contest, and these are the winners. It's very little to see, but if you do want to go on Instagram on the Waukegan page to see it more clearly, you can. Just a few highlights. The very top one is the Jurassic Park for the science department, which my biology teachers, Miss Maioni and Miss Purswell, were the ones that really would push that, and great costumes and exhibition of Jurassic Park. On the very left is my French teacher, Madame Wilder, who did do Steve Harvey for her costume. And I remember very specifically when this happened, she was asking everyone, let's take a good picture. Let's hold up a minute. Let's take a good picture for this contest, right? And obviously she won. I have complete congratulations to her. And at the very end is Mrs. Mohauser, who I don't have her as a teacher, but I have come to know her because I do eat in the art room on Fridays because the Schuler office is closed, right? But she is a great teacher, and she was a sorceress for the contest and won, so congratulations to her and every single teacher that put in the festivities for Halloween and stuff like that. Next slide. Yes, Q&A. This is the moment for anybody for the administration, the Board of Education, to ask questions. The floor is yours. I will take that as a no. Thank you so much. I will give the balance of my time back.
Thank you, Mr. Hinojosa, for that report.
Thank you.
Okay, and now on the agenda is Spotlight on 60.
I am currently overseeing Program Place, which is our transition program. Any student that has needs, once they finish their high school credits, can stay with this program from 18 to 22 to get support in order to achieve their post-high school goals. The students are in class in the morning. They are receiving instruction from special education teachers on independent living, careers, and education so that they can improve their skills with the goal of being employable when they're done. So they'll work on things like money management. What does it take to be prepared for a job? Being on time. How do you interact with people in the community and your boss when you're at work? They also work with the College of Lake County and take classes there so they can experience being on a college campus while they still have the love and support of all of us at the district and in the community.
I think it's important to have programs like this to know about people with disability. They should come here and have one of these teachers to teach them about jobs, the work site, money, everything.
They teach me about how to be responsible, how was it like in the real workplace, and it's teaching me how to be more of a person that I am today. So it helps me a whole lot. I feel like it's preparing me for the real world.
We currently have about 10 partnerships with Waukegan businesses where the students go out in the afternoon for an hour and a half every day, and they're at different job sites, and they work at that job site with a manager at the job site to help with something that that job needs.
This is like the best hour of my day because I get to sit down and I get to talk to them. They do an excellent job. There's a order, you put the sauce bottles in, they know all that, they clean the bottoms of them, and then they go and put them back on the tables, and so it's nice. I've never done anything like this, and I really, really enjoy it. I would recommend this highly to any company in Waukegan.
They're helping their community, and they're also learning skills that will allow them to be employed or to even take care of themselves or their households. And the feedback that I've gotten from every family has been that they wish they knew about this program before now, and in the future we are looking to continue to grow and to be able to provide support for more and more students as the years go.
I love this place because Evian, he have been here 2 years. He done learned so much over the 2 years. He really have shown a lot of growth. The staff here is wonderful. I just enjoy what the staff do with the kids here because it helps the kids. Overall, I enjoy this program. This program, it really works. So, I mean, this is the program that your child should be attending. Place is the place. Thank you.
That's a wonderful program for our DL students, and I'd really like to see it expand to support more students. And at this time,
Did she want to come up?
Is she here?
She's here. Did she want to come up?
I am, yes. Yeah, I do. I have a question. Are there any questions from The board members?
Yes.
Okay, you can start down with Miss Fabian.
I just wanted to give kudos. I've been a fan of Place and all the things that they do, and especially, I don't think Miss Villaruz gets a lot of praise for all the extra work that she does. She really does go above and beyond. So if she's watching, just kudos to her and her team.
Yes, we work really hard to become better together, and we have a lot of really hard-working staff, and we have wonderful parents and students, and we hear a lot about what we need, and we try to continue to get better. And I thought this was an awesome chance to show off one of the things that we're doing that's wonderful, that's happening every day, that it is such a great opportunity for the students, and it's done by everybody in the community, and the feedback that I've gotten from everybody has been just this wonderful feeling about how much the community is helping them and how much this program is helping. So I just thought it never hurts to see the good things that are going on right here, right now, because we're always trying to improve, and here we've got this shining star, and I wanted to be able to share it with everybody because it's really cool to see. So I'm more than willing to answer any questions, but our goal is absolutely to grow it to serve more students. We just want to grow it while logically and with intent, so that we're not just, saying, oh, everybody can go, and we want to do it planfully and do it well, because they've worked really hard to get the program that they have, and have done an excellent job. And you're absolutely right, it can serve more people, and that is wholeheartedly our intention.
Yes. And one more, Miss.
Sorry, just to clarify so that any families that are listening, it's a free program through your IEP, right? So just to clarify that this is a program that
That is a great question.
free to our families.
Absolutely. So students that have IEPs or 504s, if they have transition needs, once they've met their graduation requirements, they're not ready to be employed yet, and their goals are aligned to help them get to where they want to be. They're able to stay in a program like Place from 18 to 22. It doesn't mean that you have to stay the entire time. If you're a student that is working on a skill and you come to Place and you gain those skills and you get a job 6 or 8 months in, you can be done and then go on. However, once you are done, you can't revert. So yes, it's open to students that have IEPs 18 to 22, and it's not a commitment for a year, 3 years, or whatever. It's based on what the student needs.
Miss Lindsay?
Another component that I loved is the community partnerships. I know Big Ed's has been very big in helping a lot of different ventures within the community, and once Chuck Wagon, I'm not fully aware of all of the businesses involved, but I think it's a beautiful thing for the community to come together to support these kids. If a Waukegan business wants to be a part of the program, who should they get in touch with so that they can also offer a slot for students to come in and support? And
Yes,
gain skills?
they can reach out to me. They can reach out to anyone in the DL department. We will get them, or the AOEC building. So my name is Teresa Clark. They can email me, they can call me, or they can reach us again through any of the DL administration, or reaching out to the AOEC building. That's where we're actually housed, and they'll get us to our direction. The more the merrier, right?
Yes.
But we absolutely want to be intentional too, and get it so that it's something the students would like to do. But we're a community, right? We can't get anywhere without each other, so it is amazing. And that was all unscripted. So what she had to say at Big Ed's, that came from her heart, so.
Wonderful, thank you.
McBride?
I just want to say commend you for doing what you're doing, because it takes a lot to do that. And I know that I worked at the Kiley Center over there for about maybe 4 or 5 years, and I worked at Misericordia. And when you start working with Down syndrome kids and kids of that nature, it takes a lot.
And I know the program has been around for a little while, because I think over on 10th Street they used to go over there. And I think the Chug Wagon had a few of them working over there. So the only thing I can just say is keep doing what you're doing, and everything you're doing is being recorded. Thank you.
Yeah, Mrs. Clark, again, kudos to you and your staff that work with these students. And I just wondered as well, I see some of them working in grocery stores. Am I right that Jewel also has some of your students? And,
we don't have Jewel right now. They're at Walmart, but
Oh, Walmart,
Jewel
okay.
has very regularly employed people with disabilities. Right now, we work with Walmart, but
Okay.
we have to balance the how many staff do we have that can go with them and how many job sites there are. So, but that is a very good avenue, and I'm sure they would be happy to support us as well. But
so how many partners do you have in our community now? Roughly?
10.
10?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yep.
great.
I
And you
probably
could
won't
use
forget. So
more.
we've got People's Choice, we've got LA Fitness, we have the Genesee Theater, the library. Some of the students help at Robbie Lightfoot.
Okay.
I'm gonna forget some, Big Ed's. Sorry to anybody that I forgot, but they are all getting experience. Goodwill also as well. Some of them then become employed at Goodwill and they get paid on the weekends, but they go there during the week. And I can tell you, they're always so happy to be at school, and that's just a great feeling. So it's the staff that deserve all the credit. I'm just the face.
Well, again, thank you for what you're doing. Yes.
I do want to ask the question is like, because it's amazing that we're offering this opportunity for our students, and ideally all, regardless of their ability, I feel like all of our students need that experience, that hands-on work experience. But is there anything that you guys need from us as a board to continue growing your program, or what is something that we could kind of take on to keep expanding you guys?
I think that everything takes a community, right? And so just promoting the wonderful community that we have and letting them know that we have students that are willing to get job experiences, and just being proud of us and letting us know let them know that we're here, and there are things that we can do to help support them. But it's a balance too, right? Because they've got to put time in to teach them as well. So it doesn't always benefit the business as much as it benefits the students, because sometimes it takes that time for that supervisor to work with the kids. But I'm telling you, when you do, you'll reap the rewards. So just passing the word along, and when you hear things, letting us know. We're in the AOEC building, and we're happy to hear from anybody and work with anybody. But we do have to balance the ratio of staff that we can send out with our kids as well. So, but you can't have too much of a good thing.
Yeah, and I have one question. Now, I know that in the past, students out in the community to work, they were paid some type of compensation. Are our students getting compensated for the times that they are engaging in the community at the different businesses? I'm hoping that they do get some type of little stipend or something. I mean, that's what was happening
In the past?
in the past.
Okay, so I'm going to give you I tend to be a talker and I talk a lot, so I'm going to give you the kind of the semi-short version of it. Is right now, some of the students that qualify to work at Goodwill and they're working on the weekends, they do get paid for that time on the weekends. Our students that are working with the job sites during the day that they go to, they're not paid employment because they're learning on the job skills. Some of you probably have seen maybe the coffee cart that goes around. With that, the tip money that they get around Christmas time, they divide all the tip money with to all the students, and then they give that to them so that they can buy gifts for their family, and then they do it again at the end of the year. But they're not paid because they're in school to learn that skill, and it's not a paid employment. And consequently, tonight there's a Lake County Special Education Directors Group, and right now they're talking because there's one of the high schools that's trying to employ one of their students, and they're not sure that that's even something that is allowable because they're
Oh,
still
yeah.
your student and the district is looking to hire them. So there are waters that all of us aren't necessarily clear that it's something that we should be doing. They did get paid in the past. I think that was before I was here, and I understand it completely, and they would all love that, I'm sure. But right now, their payment is that they're learning those skills so that hopefully they won't need us anymore, and they'll be able to then get paid. But the Goodwill students that are working on the naval base, they on the weekends they do get paid for that employment, but they don't have us there on the weekends when working with them. That's actually Goodwill staff member.
Yeah, we had the program through the vocational, and I'm going to ask, hopefully with a concurrence of the board, that we have the superintendent look into where, if that can take place to give, and it's nothing, they were given, work hours and, that stuff to see how maybe we can reactivate that, look into it and everything, and so that, that would be just another benefit for the students.
Yeah, absolutely, and I could pass on any information that the Lake County Directors of SPAD Group comes up with. They also work with a lot of lawyers sometimes to figure out whether it is legal to do that as well. If I get any of that information, I will pass it along. But yeah, because I know it was done before it was here. It was like a stipend or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so with the concurrence of the board, yes?
I would agree. Yeah, there's
Yes.
got to be like a grant, but I know there are parameters because I know people with disabilities lose their benefits if they make a certain threshold of income. So
That's what I'm concerned with.
let's figure
just
that
to
out.
Look into it.
Yeah, just look into it. I would be in
Yes.
favor of that.
I'll look into what we did in the past and come back with why we moved away from it, if there was any guidelines federally or just locally, and we'll circle back with the board. Thank you, Ms. Clark.
All right, thank you.
Celebrate.
all.
You guys have an amazing community, so.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, and at this time, we are going to, 8A, we are going to hold that, those minutes over until the next meeting. Hmm? Yeah, the approval, I thought we were holding the minutes too. Yeah, we're holding the minutes, yeah. All righty, and, okay, and on the agenda, 9, opportunity for public comment. I'm going to call your names for you to come up, and I'm sure you already know all of the rules and so forth, guidelines. So I'm not going to reiterate that, but I will call your name, and if I chop your name up, forgive me. It's done not with my heart. Okay? First one on the list is Diane Wentz. Did I get it right?
You can correct us. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's Diana, but you got the last name right, which is actually usually mispronounced, so thank you for that.
No, no problem.
So this is my first time here, and if it's okay with you all, I will be doing this part bilingually. So my name is Diana Wentz. I am here just to introduce myself to the community and to the board. I am the Bilingual Parent Advisory Committee President for the last 2 years for this school district. And then I'm also here to represent my committee, my Vice President, Veronica Castro, my Secretary, Elisa Trevino, and also our other board, our BPAC member, Luz Granda. So I'm just going to reiterate that in Spanish, if that's okay. So mi nombre es Diana Wentz. Soy la presidenta del comité asesor de los padres bilingües del distrito 60 por los últimos 2 años. Estoy aquí representando mi comité, mi vicepresidenta Verónica Castro, mi secretaria Elisa Treviño y otro miembro de nuestro comité, Luz Granda. So I wanted to be able to give you all a face. I know that we haven't had an opportunity to come to these board meetings, and I hope to be able to make that more of a common thing, but also to be able to introduce myself and hopefully give you an opportunity to connect with myself and the rest of my committee members. I am a parent of 2 children in this school district. I'm a born and raised Waukeganite. I love my city and my school district, and I'm very happy to be able to raise our children in this school district. We've been in the bilingual program for now 11 years. That's my oldest. And we're very proud of the bilingual program and what it's done for our children, specifically my 2 children, and their bilingual skills and how much they get supported. My husband and I work very hard to make sure that we're there for them, and we wanted to, the reason I got involved with the committee at all was to be able to be there for other parents and to let them know that it is, though it may seem impossible, because I believe everyone here probably has other things going on in their lives that keep us all busy. I wanted to, make it seem like it is possible in one way or the other, in one form or another, even if you're not part of the district, not involved, you can at least voice your concerns and speak to community members like myself on your concerns so that I can then present myself here and share them with you all and with the board. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wentz. Okay. All right, the next name on the list is Ray Vukovic.
Good evening. I'm here to address the board with the same topic that I did 8 nights ago when you had a special meeting. The board president isn't here, but at that meeting, the superintendent nor the general counsel were present, and this does affect them. It pertains to a FOIA request that I put in, and I got a response back from the attorney because I had to ask where it was and remind that it was late, and she ended up writing back when we finally got the information that, well, you always get the information, but there's something about accuracy too. I asked, one of the things I asked for was the conference and travel for the superintendent from July of 2016 through October of this year. Now, this some throwback prices here. I asked for the total cost and the dates and the events and the location. One event, 3 days in Orlando, was $145. Another was 3 days in 3 days in Las Vegas for $91. 3 days in LA for $256. Another one, 3 days in San Diego, $284. I asked for the total cost, not one piece. I asked for the total cost. So, and then there's some that aren't on there that when you go back through the minutes, you find out that it was approved by the board. Now, I know that there's the whole COVID thing where things were approved and it wasn't, but that's the one piece. The other piece that I asked for was bonuses paid to the superintendent. And the thing that really sticks out here is there was a check dated April 28th of 2023. The amount was for $20,000 and it said bonus. Now, who approved this and when? You all were supposed to, or the previous board, I guess it was supposed to meet on the 25th of April, and there wasn't a quorum. So that was kicked to the May 2nd, and it was supposed to be for the superintendent's evaluation. And when there was no mention of any money brought up there, who approved this? Was this another one of somebody cutting and pasting somebody's signature to get something through? You guys are her boss. $20,000. You don't have a teacher's contract yet, but you gave or she took a bonus. I don't know that you approved it, but somehow it's out there. Please look into it, and I expect answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vukovic. Next name, Ms. Regina Briscoe.
Good evening. I always like to take the opportunity when I go to visit the schools and talk to the students, and just so happens I live near the high school. So when I'm out walking, I will also take the opportunity to talk to students as they're coming into the school and just ask them for feedback as far as what's happening and things like that. I just want to share a couple comments that I was subbing recently in the schools. I'm surprised at the number of students that are missing chargers and Chromebooks. I don't know how they're able to study when they don't have chargers and Chromebooks. In the classroom, I think that maybe teachers need to have some chargers to give the students. It would help. It's already a challenge for some of them anyway. And if they say, they don't have a Chromebook, how can they do the work in there? And we wonder why grades are the way they are. At the high school, I was at the Brookside campus and asked the students what do they think about the fights or whatever. One thing that they did say, there are still fights that are going on daily, but there are less fights. So that's good. That's good. The other thing is that I also asked, do you know who the principal is? Ask the 9th graders and the 10th graders. They still don't know who the principal is. One of them said, I'll Google it. When I was subbing in K through 5, the snacks came for the kids. They look really in really nice containers. It was red cabbage. Of course, it's in the garbage. And I can't remember if I was with kindergartners or first graders. Red cabbage. I didn't even want to eat the red cabbage. Please take a look at and see as far as the food and the snacks that the kids are getting. From the teacher's perspective, I was in a couple of the rooms with the teachers, and they said that they want a forum where they can voice concerns. They have concerns. They want a forum. And I told them I would bring it back. The other thing is that they had said that they believe that the communication here is not good. And the communication definitely needs to be worked on at the district. So some of the teachers are frustrated. Believe it or not, I hate to say it, but they're still talking about Teresa's salary. And that came up quite a bit. Last thing is that, whenever I come up, I always want to know what's happening with the plan for the African American boys. I know it's slightly behind, but I just want to get an update to know what's happening. I am working very closely with Tasia and her team. We interviewed a couple of candidates, and one of them didn't go through, but we're going to start interviewing again. But from the board's perspective, and Teresa, from your perspective, if you can just kind of give an update on what's happening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Briscoe. Next name on the list is Randy Subecki.
Good evening. I'm also going to talk about what I talked about 8 days ago for the community, since it wasn't recorded. So my question is, since the superintendent came to our district, we had houses in our high school, a lot of administrators, and the superintendent said herself that we were top heavy on administrators. They cut the program that was working at the high schools, got rid of all the good administrators that have been in our district, some of them lived in our district and been here for a long time. And they were told either they can find new jobs or they can go back to teaching. Some of them did go back to teaching, some left, went and found new jobs. So my question is, we still don't have a teacher's contract, but we sit here routinely and approve administrators' raises, and we are way top heavy now on administrators. We got cut all the administrators, but we have more administrators now than we did before. And we're constantly approving more and more administrators, but we have more and more long-term subs within our buildings. So at what point do we stop and start putting the administrators back in the classrooms so these kids can get the education that they deserve and stop juggling and jumping from teacher to teacher to teacher daily? That needs to be addressed. You guys run the board. You guide the board of which way. We had a plan at the high school when we ran and campaigned. Everyone was for returning to the houses and that, but the high school is still the same way. We still have all the chaos and that in our high schools. When are we going to do change? Another 5, 7 years? When? We going to fall farther and farther behind and then try to play catch up in 5 to 7 years? When's enough enough? We need to cut our administrators. We need to add more teachers, and these teachers need contracts. We say we pay for experience in that. All the administrators get raises every time they come to this podium and want one. You guys approve it with no hands down. So now let's get the teachers done. And let's give them the contract that they're still working without of. As far as the conferences go, I still like to see a pause on the conferences. And I understand when you guys say, yeah, a lot of these conferences are budgeted for, but budgets change, as we all know. And I know personally, when you go from a 2-income house to a 1-income house, you can budget for whatever you want, but our budgets change. And if we don't have teachers' contracts in that, we're spending more, over $500,000 already this year on conferences, but yet the students' grades ain't moving. They're not going up. So we need to hold the conferences. Let's put that money back into the students until those grades go up and give our teachers our contract before we do anything else. And I just want to shout out the other day at Jack Benny, I seen Congressman Snyder was here. It was good to see all the administrators show up for the photos.
Thank you, Mr. Sabaki. Next name on the list is Brother Blanks.
Brother Blank, Black Abolition Movement for the Mind. Naughty by Nature say if you never been to the ghetto, you shouldn't come to the ghetto. But we say sometime if you're afraid of the hood, you should consider coming to the hood. Because if you don't, fear do breeds hate. Fear of culture, fear of heritage. So a lot of times people don't get involved in issues because of their fears. So we are trying to be solution-oriented. So Kwanzaa, last time I was here, I mentioned Kwanzaa presentation, and I know sometimes it takes time to go through the channels when it comes to the district-wide. So, however, we took the initiative. We got in touch with Mr. Silver over at Carmen Buckner in the 1st Ward on the south side. And we are a Kwanzaa presentation, which will be on the 2nd day of Kwanzaa, Kujichagulia, self-determination. So what you have with you is a preliminary flyer as it relates to Kwanzaa celebration, because as I often say, when it comes to culture and heritage, we don't want it to be thrown together in the last minute. So we took the initiative. You have a preliminary flyer. We're going to be pushing this out to the community. Mr. Obel William King of Justice Arts. I don't know how many of you are familiar with him or not. I've been knowing him. We've shared the stage on many occasions in the poetry circuit, the stories telling circuit back in the day. So he's coming in from Texas, and so we are sponsoring him and his team at that'll be on the 27th, December the 27th from 3 to 5 p.m. So we're encouraging all to come out and to come to our neighborhood and see it's not all bad. There's some good there. And so that's what we want to promote. And so everybody can get out and get involved. Now, for more details, you can contact us at Black Abolition Movement for the Mind. Our number is 773-510-1713. That's 773-510-1713. As we always encourage all to continue to read, write, recite, but don't ever give up the good fight. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Blanks. Next speaker is Rayon Edwards.
Good evening, board and community. I had the opportunity to be at Brookside yesterday. I had a nephew that had a situation. This situation been going on for over a month. I've talked to Deputy Superintendent, I've talked to the Director of Safety, I've talked to the Supervisor of Safety, I've talked to the head of the principal, and I've talked to the assistant principal. Yesterday, my nephew parents goes up to the school at 7:30 to meet with them to tell them about a situation that happened Tuesday. After school, on the bus, before it left the property, nobody wrote it down, nobody reported it. What was striking to me is we still got Kim George over there, and yeah, I'm gonna say that name, who this district then spent money for because she hurt a child. If y'all could have seen how this woman talked to me, I'm wondering, she got to know somebody to be in that position. She got to know somebody. There's no way in hell we did an interview and said that she's qualified to be in that building. Let me tell you, she left me and my cousin standing right there for 40 minutes in the hallway, unattended. We never got the child. She never took us to the child. In fact, she walked off and went and did what she wanted to do. Told the little girl she had to go be in the ISS. The little girl told her, shut up talking to her, kept on going. I watched my young ladies yesterday in a school with cut off pants and they butt cheeks out. I watched their breasts hanging up out the shirt. And this is acceptable? The same boys that jumped on my nephew, they standing back there hanging in ISS outside of the room. What climate and culture is supposed to be at. What assistant principal office at. 7 young mans, no adult. I watched 2 hallways periods. I could see about 14 classrooms. I seen 2 teachers standing in their doorway while the classes is going. You short staff at the front door. I didn't see no climate and control specialists. None. Is they even qualified? Because I see we removed the title dean. I know when you was a dean, you had education in certain things. Climate and control specialists ain't got that. And that's why there are no connections with the kids, y'all. What I seen yesterday is disturbing. And anybody that walk in our building and see something like that, they have every reason to run fast as hell from the city of Waukegan. That's not a school. I feel more safer when I was walking down the street than I did for an hour and 15 minutes in that building. And so now I understand why the kids' grades are down. They got big old headphones, PlayStation 5 headphones walking around. I seen about 40 of them. The bell ring, you got about 400 kids in a classroom, out in the hallway, excuse me. Not in the class. Literally, and I got pictures. And I'm saving y'all face by not putting them on social media. Do something.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. The next speaker is Ms. Villarreal.
Fact. The culture and climate, even when you do ask for help, they don't come to help. They literally look at you and turn and look away. Fact. Not a myth. Fact, students are running around the building. Fact, there are students standing outside that ISS unattended. Fact, you have assistant principals making racist comments in a classroom. Fact, you have a problem with discrimination and racism. Fact, 7 of you are just people who constantly vote yes for everything, including those raises that someone's been repeatedly asking about. Fact, do you know how long you're supposed to be before you respond to a FOIA? Any of you know? I know. Still waiting. Let me check my emails because maybe they got lost somewhere. Fact, since you hired somebody, we've had a problem in this district and grades have slowly dropped. We have a ridiculous number of high-paid admin. And 7 of you vote for it. So you are the 7 that are responsible for it. You don't care about these kids. You care about your political gains and your face and your your photo ops and what it gains you. Pay attention. Pay very close attention, because people are going to keep coming. So I'm going to keep urging the staff. I'm going to keep urging bulldogs out there that are former graduates, teachers, stand strong. Don't settle. Because something needs to be changed, and I think it needs to be a huge walkout. You really need to send a message. I'm still wondering, where is the state? Where are those representatives? How many people in this district, how many people in this county are under whatever it is you got going on? 214 Washington, what's up with that penthouse? What are you going to do with that? Is it going to be freely open? Or is it going to be something for another fun Friday? We reinstating that. Got a lot of bulldogs all over the place, all over the states. And by the way, anybody going to any conference that has to do with Tableau or Salesforce, that's free training, people. They don't need to go anywhere on taxpayer dollars regarding any of that software, because it's free training. Should have looked at my resume.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. And I am going to trust no one else in the audience would like to address the board. Okay, yes. Absolutely. Can you state your name, sir, for the record?
My name is Angel Lopez. I want to present myself. I live here in Waukegan. My son, he's 14 years old. Unfortunately, he was bullied in school. And with that, we tried to talk to the schools, and there was no resolve. So I did what I did. My son asked me if he wanted to learn how to do boxing. So I couldn't find any program that will meet my requirements that I need as a parent for my son. So I created one program. I'm a nonprofit organization. I work on the mornings from 4 in the morning to 2:30 p.m. I'm a father. As you can see, this is my clothes that I used to wear. And after that, 4:30, my kids, they give me a chance to go and do something different in the community. I have a boxing program, nonprofit organization. I have over 60 kids that I work with. All the kids that come here in the schools, on these schools here. I hear them, I hear their stories, and not only that, but I wanna make an invitation to know that what boxing brings is not just what you see on TV, because that's what pays millions of people and they make money out of that. For us, for me, my goal is to teach the kids how to learn how to defend themselves, how to be a strong mindset. And not only that, that's gonna help them be able to focus on school. I have created more programs with that. I have presented to the school board my chess program, which my chess program is in 2 months of being released in the community, it was recognized by FIDE, the International Federation of Chess. I share with the school, with the high school, so that I know that we can bring the kids more to learn the program, and they can experience, since I have the highlight from all the way from Sweden. I didn't hear nothing from them. I saw the need of programs for kids with Down syndrome. I have a program for kids with Down syndrome, recognized by NATS. Why is that if my programs that I do, they're recognized by bigger organizations, national, international, and I live here and I do great things for my community? Why is that there's a line here, I never pass that line. Who do I need to talk to? Who do I need to know that at the end, I'm here to offer my service that I have proof that it's excellent to the community? And that's where I'm here today, just to share what I do. You can follow me. We have Facebook. We have, all my media. It's angelsboxingacademy.org. We're a nonprofit organization, 401c3. And I'm just here to say hi. This is me. I am a parent that his son goes to school, and I want to do something for my community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. All right, could we have the agenda back up? Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is purchases and contracts. And the approval for Juarez Middle School student furniture. I'll turn it over to the superintendent.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to approve the purchase of student furniture at Juarez Middle School through Lowry McDonald Company, Omana Partners Contract number 07-120 Smith Systems at TIPS USA number 230301 Scholar Craft Products Incorporated, with the total anticipated cost of $94,549.40.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Are there any comments or questions in reference to the item? I have one question. The amount is coming from the education fund, right? And is that a part of the ESSER money?
Mr. Berry, will you be responding?
The money, good evening, Board, Superintendent. The money that's set aside for this was already in Juarez budget for the year. This is the third and final year of the purchase. They did 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. It was already set aside for this purchase, and it is in Juarez budget.
So this was through their SBB process?
Yes, through the SBB process.
Okay. Alrighty, thank you. If there are no more questions, call the question. Roll call, please.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lansing?
Yes.
The motion passed. Thank you. Next item is personnel.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation to approve the appointments, retirement extension, and accept the resignations as found on schedules F1002 and L949.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Fabian. Are there any comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lansing?
Yes.
Motion passed. Thank you. Next thing on the agenda is the ratification of the second processing of November 2023 board bills, manual check request payments, and Old Navy National Bank insurance payments for the period of November 8th, 2023 through November 21st, 2023. Superintendent.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education ratify the second November 2023 processing of board bills, manual check request payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of November 8th, 2023 through November 20th, 23. The accounts payable board payments for the period of November 8th, 2023 through November 20th, 23 total $5,721,054.07. The manual check request payments for the period of November 8, 2023 through November 20, 2023 totals $3,076,794.67. The Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of November 8th, 2023 through November 20th, 2023 totals $2,018,601.99.
A motion to approve the recommendation.
Is there a second?
Second.
It was a motion by Ms. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Riddle. Are there any comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
No.
Ms. Lensing.
Pass.
All right, motion passed. Next item is we are going to be opening a hearing on the adoption of the tax levy for the tax year 2023.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the board formally open the required hearing on the adoption of the tax levy for tax year 2023.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions? Can I? Yes, roll call. Vote, sorry. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? All right, we are now in the open hearing on the adoption of the tax levy for tax year 2023. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Lawosa.
Good evening. The administration is recommending a 2023 levy in the amount of $55,438,410, which is over the 2022 extension of $52,798,505. Both these numbers exclude bond and interest, and the amount or the rate of the rate of increase of the 2023 levy is 4.99%, which is less than 5%. It is not necessary to approve the aggregate levies 20 days in advance and publish a notice of the truth in taxation. But since we are transparent, we are doing the truth in taxation hearing, as well as we published a notice in the newspaper, the Lake County News Sun, and it was published on November 18th, the 20th, and the 21st, which is also not more than 14 days before or less than 7 days prior to the hearing of November 28th. This levy is due to the county clerk's office by the last Tuesday in December.
Are there any, or are you done, sir, or no?
Go ahead. So any questions?
The hearing is now open, and the public is welcome to ask questions. Are there questions for Mr. Lawosa at this time? And this is
Question, Board President?
You have a question, sir?
Yes.
Okay,
So,
go ahead.
Mr. Loza, so is this basically the same as what we did last year? We approved,
Yes, we
Yes.
go with a levy that's a little less than 5% above the prior year extension to try to maximize our revenues. The extension doesn't come out until the end of March or early April. If it is the board's desire to keep the extension level with prior years, just let us know and we'll make that adjustment. But we won't get notice of that extension from the county until the end of March or early April. But the levy is due by the last Tuesday in December, and in the calculating the levy or even the limiting rate, there are some unknowns out there, such as the equalized assessed valuation, or EAV. That usually doesn't become final until the end of March, early April.
Right.
And new construction.
From your knowledge, Mr. Lawosa, are there other districts that would be levying above the 5%?
I have not seen any. I know the county, I believe, is levying a little bit higher, I think 2-3%, but I have not seen any districts doing above 5%.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Any, Ms. Lindsay?
Good evening, Mr. Lawosa. So When this was brought up in a prior meeting, Ms. Polk had talked about leaving funds on the table. Can you just reiterate those sentiments for the public before we take the vote?
Yes, so when we levy at the 5% and the extension comes out and we don't claim all that extension and we reduce it to say what we had claimed the year before and keep it level, we do lose that base, and we lose that base forever. And when you go to chief school, business official school, you're taught to maximize the revenues. And this is how we maximize the revenues. But if it's the board's decision to keep it level, it should also be known that we lose that tax base forever. We cannot get it back. And we've lost a lot of tax base in the past.
I have I see a hand. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Subecki.
I just have one question.
That's what he said.
Hello? Hello? Is it on?
Test it again.
Do you see the light?
Oh, hello. So I just have one question. I have to ask it. How come when it comes to money, deadlines are important, but all the other deadlines in our district, by state law, is never important to this board? Like minutes, there's a deadline. FOIAs, there's deadlines. It's never important, but when it comes to money, boy, we gotta make sure we stick to the deadlines. Let's start making all the deadlines, not just when it comes to money. That's the job of the board, and that's what we'd like to see as a community start happening. If there's a deadline in state law, let's make those deadlines, and not just when it comes to money. We make sure we abide by those laws. Let's get all the rest of them done then too.
Thank you. Ms. Villarreal.
I have a couple questions. One of those is, why is this not on a referendum? Is it that you are just below the amount that you would have to put it on a referendum in order for the citizens in the community to vote for this?
It's not a referendum. It's basically...
That was a yes/no question.
If you're going over 5% of last year's extension, excluding bond and interest, you are required to post a notice in the newspaper, have a hearing, and post it. So we have done that, but we are being transparent. It is less than 5%. We don't need to do that.
Okay, so you went just under that so you could avoid a referendum, is what I'm understanding. But now I also want to know what is the data that shows how many of your constituents here in the community actually receive the newspaper? What's that data?
I do not know.
Okay, so you don't know.
I am one that gets
So what are the other outlets that you use to inform the community of this increase?
The requirement is your local paper. And the Lake County News Sun is what we do.
So the requirement is to use a newspaper. You have no other means that you have announced this or let the public know, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is going to increase the taxes in a community that's already working 2 or 3 jobs, some of us unemployed. So you're saying about 4.9%, is that correct?
The levy that we're proposing is 4.99% over the prior year extension.
Okay, so now we have a tax increase on people who are already suffering and can barely make ends meet. And most of them right now are probably not even aware of it unless some who are paying attention. But your only means of informing them is through a newspaper, which is most of them that probably don't get it because most of them probably can't even afford the newspaper. Am I correct?
I don't know.
Sure. That seems a little shady.
Just real quick, I'm just so confused right now. This is a school board meeting, correct?
Yeah, and at this point, yeah, we are in the hearing for the tax levy.
So, the reason why I'm asking, because I'm a little bit confused here. You know, I've been coming to these school board meetings for quite some time, and never at a school board meeting have we been able to do this. In fact, I love it, but why are we allowed to do this today? Because now that we're doing this today, every time we have this now, I'm going to want to be able to ask questions and I'm going to expect the answer back. So I think we better realize what we did here now. We just opened Pandora box.
Mr. Edwards, I need to explain that this is a process that we go through every year, annually, when we are going to either approve or deny a tax levy to raise the taxes or not. And that's what this is. And at this point on the agenda, we're in an open hearing for the tax levy. Right? Okay? Yeah, and so there is, there is interaction that takes place at this time in the open hearing. Okay? Mr. Bukovic.
Yes, and I did see it in all three issues of that. I read the New Sun online. That's what the legislature says is the way to do it. There's got to be other ways that people could know about this, because it's a big thing. And 5%, if you had a product that people were proud of, they'd stand up and say, yeah, go ahead and do it. Somebody asked if anybody else was over 5%. New Trier High School, 7% they're asking for. The people there, people move to that community. They can't wait to get in there because of the education. We don't have that problem here. Somebody mentioned the word referendum. 2002 was the last time it was passed.
Absolutely.
My wife and I led that committee. 69% of the people back then said yes. If you had a referendum today, the numbers would be the other way around. There's no faith in the community. Now it's up to the 7 elected school board members to make that decision. Now you have to do something. You screw around with it and you don't pass a levy, that magic date in December, and you wait one day to turn it in, it's not like the minutes are for you, because the levy goes to 0. So you guys have to pass something before that deadline.
I have a question too.
All right, Ms. Gonzalez.
Just for clarity, Mr. Luosa, I'm going to ask 2 questions, and if you can answer, and I know Ms. Polk might not be here, but can you just clarify what it means to keep taxes leveled? Because we've said that a lot in meetings, and I don't think that there is clarity about what that means. And can you also explain when that started? Like, how long have we been leveling taxes, and what is the impact on our school district revenues when that happens?
So I think it started about 3 years ago when we kept the taxes level. Right now, the taxes are $52,798,000. It's been around that level for the last 3 or 4 years. We do lose revenues for doing, instructional programs and paying salaries and benefits. But if the board wishes to keep it level, we will honor that. You just have to know that if we reduce that base from the levy to the extension, and don't take all the extension, we do lose that base, and we lose it forever. And we've lost millions of it the last 3 or 4 years.
Mr. Luosa, can you, I think Ms. Lunsing had a point, and I know you were here our last meeting, but what was the recommendation from Ms. Polk at our previous update on this?
So I think Ms. Polk had mentioned last week that she would like to go like the 4.99% higher than the prior year extension and abate some taxes. With that, basically, it keeps the base up, and we don't lose the base. And she's also recommending that we apply for the 2024 tax relief grant for $9.6 million. We have applied for it, and we have not been accepted the last 3 years, I think, 2 or 3 years.
Ms. Lindsay?
In these meetings, we've talked about many things, including replacing our mobiles, putting in a new track at Weiss Field. We have our high schoolers talking about a new high school. So these things are going to cost money. And the problem we have, to the community's point, is that we have a lot of lower income families that don't have access to the resources. So that's the conundrum that we're in right now. If we want better facilities, if we want better opportunities for our students, that's going to cost something. Do you see us being able to fund those any other way outside of a tax levy that's reasonable or feasible?
Well, you can issue bonds, especially for buildings. We have not issued bonds since 2017, so we are reducing our bond and interest. I think right now we have 5 outstanding bonds to pay for. But that is a route to go, issuing bonds. And, really prioritizing projects. So, we only have a finite amount of resources to deal with. Prioritize the projects and which one gets priority. Does Weiss Field get the priority? Does a new high school building get the priority? It's something that, I guess we all have to go through and figure out.
And then if the board decided to keep it level, do you have an estimated amount of what that would be instead of the 55 million showing? Unless I'm wrong on that figure.
Currently, our extension is $52,798,000. So if we're keeping it level, basically, we would keep it about $52,800,000.
Okay, so we're talking roughly under 3 million of a difference to us.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else has okay. Go ahead.
Is this money strictly going to be used only to fund those projects like Weiss Field or a new high school? Strictly, not for administration, none of that?
No. To us to decide.
Not necessarily, unless you do a resolution to reserve those funds
Okay.
for that project.
Are you aware of what the cost of living increase is per year? Average?
I think it's about 5% this year.
Okay. So we already have people who cannot get a cost of living increase in pay. A cost of living. We have staff that can't get that cost of living increase. We have staff that aren't getting any increases, like those long-term subs. And you want to raise taxes on people who aren't even getting the cost of living raise to about the same amount. Am I understanding that correct?
This proposal would be
It's a
an
yes, no.
increase in the tax.
Okay, so that was yes. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
I appreciate you asking those questions, Adriana, and I don't really think the questions was really asked, right? As it relates to when we talk about these taxes. So I know we having an open hearing tonight about this. I think these is one of these things that we should have had a town hall about. Several of them. Because now when you're talking about raising the taxes, And I know a lot of y'all last time spoke about, oh, the county board just raised state taxes. Oh, the city just raised theirs. Y'all not the county board and you're not the city. And I think you need to remember that. We need to look at what these jobs is paying these families out here, because a lot of them ain't even making number $13, $14 an hour. And then a lot of them that's having these jobs, do we realize how much money they're actually paying for health care? So before we make this decision, we have to do something. What it looks like is because we did a lot of mismanaging, I think we need to work a little bit harder at trying to find those grants. Because all this money, and I'm serious, y'all, we got to start having this conversation. All this money that we are paying out to administration, and I get you guys need all of that training, but let me remind y'all something. During COVID, y'all made our kids sit at home and do school from Zoom. And the same way that they did Zoom, school from Zoom, y'all can do those same conferences and training the same way. You ain't got to spend that money. You can sit right on your computer at home and enjoy and learn all the things that you was going to learn as if you went there. So instead of just being so quick to raise this levy up to 4.99%, maybe look at doing it about 2%, and then stop all these conferences, you save money. Stop all these bonuses, you save money. Stop all these raises, you save money. We're investing in the wrong thing. And as the gentleman said earlier, our teachers still don't have no contract. So in a minute, we're going to keep on messing around, raising this levy and playing all these other games without a teacher contract, and we ain't going to have no teachers. And then there ain't going to be no need for no board. Because if we ain't got no teachers to teach those schools, then there's no need for those schools to be open. And if the schools ain't open, then what we need y'all for? I'm asking y'all to really think about all of these things before y'all just pass that thing to 4.99. Y'all are not the city, and we are not the county.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Are there any other? Mr. Riddle?
Yeah. Mr. Loza, I wonder if you could clarify two things for me. The first one is our budget for the year is not $55 million. It's how much? So we get a lot of money from other sources, federal government and state government, mostly state government, plus also grants. So what is our total budget, for instance, for this year and presumably for next year?
It's about $320 million.
320
all
million.
funds.
So the rest of that money is not coming from our taxes that we're talking about tonight, the tax levy.
Right.
It's
We
coming
do get
from
a lot
state
of,
and federal and grants.
Right. We do
Okay.
get a lot of state aid, a lot of evidence-based funding, probably about 150 million of evidence-based funding.
Okay.
We have many federal grants due to COVID. The last one, ESSER 3, was a $50+ million grant.
Right. Okay.
So.
All right. And then my second question is, if we approve this tonight, I thought I heard you say that the board can still decide to hold the tax levy flat and not, as we have in the past. This is, am I correct, if we vote on this tonight, we still have that option?
That is correct. So the tax levy is due by the last Tuesday in December, but the extension doesn't come out from the county clerk's office until the end of March, beginning of April.
Right.
In between that time, you can give us direction as to what you'd like to do.
Right. And this is basically, as Ms. Pope has said in the past, not leaving any money on the table right now.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
If we don't do this now, we won't have that option.
The one thing
later
that
on.
we don't know is we don't know exactly what the equalized assessed valuation is. So we're taking a guess because
Yes.
the number doesn't become official until the end of March. But yet we have to have this levy filed by the end of December, or last Tuesday in December.
Right.
So we're taking a guess. We're guessing a little high. So in case the extension is, or the equalized assessed valuation is different, we can adjust from that.
Right. So this is kind of a little bit of an insurance because we don't know for sure what we're going to get.
Correct.
So this is sort of an insurance that we have, but we have, the deadline, as Mr. Subecki said, we have to do it now.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Fabian?
And then just another clarifying question. From my understanding, this year, that levy has increased to 5%, where in past years, it was a lower rate because this year we've had a higher inflation just nationally. Do you remember or recall what that cap was previously? I should say that, no, that 5% I think started last year.
The cap that we're always addressing is the 5%. So if your levy goes 5% or more over the prior year extension, you have to approve the aggregate levies 20 days before you approve the all the levies. And you have to hold a truth and taxation hearing, which we're doing anyways to be transparent.
Okay, because I thought that, I'm sorry, I thought that amount was lower in previous years. Percentage.
I don't think so. We usually are in the 4.9, 4.98, 4.99 arena, under 5% with the levy over the prior year extension.
Ms. Lindsay?
I'm just going to give my current opinion. I think as an insurance policy, to me, it wouldn't be bad approving this as long as we talk about what a town hall with the community would look like to engage them meaningfully in this conversation. If we as a board talk about a referendum of what these extra funds would go towards so that the community would have more buy-in into this situation, and having a clear timeline on when we are going to have a specific agenda item to talk about. Do you want us to proceed, or are we going to keep it level? So I think if we're saying it's an insurance policy and we approve it as such, we should have a specified time in which we're going to definitely circle back to this to make it, yes, proceed, no, we want to keep it level. Those are my current thoughts.
Ms. Fabian?
So to that point, then, when we have our budget meetings, will we have the opportunity to have those earlier in the year before that March deadline, so that, to Ms. Lensing's point, then we are going through that prioritization for FY25?
Yes, like I said, the extension will be known either the end of March or beginning of April, which is usually around the time that we're gathering the budget development team together for the next year's budget.
But sometimes those budget hearings end up being a little bit later and after. So can we see if we can move them up a bit so that we can have those conversations to really look at how we prioritize to make that final decision, as Ms. Lensing stated?
Ms. Fabian, we do hear the request. Mr. Luosa is stepping in for Ms. Polk tonight, so we will take that back to her.
Are there any other questions, comments?
If you're approving it tonight for this insurance policy, are you going to ensure the public an actual open forum on this budget? Or are you going to do this behind closed doors?
Oh, no.
The town
It
hall
can't
piece.
be, it can't be behind closed doors, dear. Yeah. So are there any other questions from the audience, from the Board of Education?
Sorry.
If not, I will ask for a motion. No, I will not.
We have to close
Right, but before that, I have something I need to say. Okay, I am looking when I'm looking at all of the financials and everything, right? I would really, and I know that this will have to go before Ms. Polk, but I would really, really like to see specific line items for our incoming revenues and the expenditures, and we do kind of good with the expenditures, but in everything says the education fund, right? Or like, okay, we got ESSER money, right? I would like, and I'm pretty sure the public too, would like to see that a line item specifically that says this, these are the ESSER funds that we receive. Out of the ESSER funding, these are the expenditures that came out of that. When we get grants, these are all of our grant revenues. These are the expenditures. I'm not real sure the methodology that is being practiced. I heard at one point it's like everything goes into one pot. Well, I'm scared of that simply for auditing purposes. And, you know, and when our auditors come in, what kind of challenges are they going to have trying to decipher what's ESSER money, what's grant money, what's and I'm just throwing stuff, what's foundation money, what's diverse learner money, all of that, instead of putting everything in one pot. I'm not real sure about that, and I think that the Board of Education, we all need to discuss that and see what it is that we could learn from what we're being told, but also I think that that's a discussion. But at this time, if there's no other questions you got?
I was.
Okay, go ahead, Superintendent.
I was just gonna state that when Ms. Polk comes back, there are different lines that we do take money from. So and Brian, you can explain this more, but we won't take that time tonight, but we will come back. It's just not all in one pot where they're pulling it. So there are line items that come from different places. I think when she said over pot, she's talking about the whole budget, including the grants, you know, federal monies, state monies, etc. But there are line items.
Right, and we have provided you grant reports in the past. We even had a separate one just for COVID grants and how much the grant was, how much we had spent, what, you know, the day that it's lapsing or expiring. But when we do our budget document, right, and when we do our annual financial report on actuals, the revenues are booked by source of funds. So property taxes are in this one line.
Right.
Evidence-based funding or state aid is on a separate line. TAOP grant is noted in a separate cell. So it's all differentiated in our system by source of funds, and that's how the auditors want to see it, that's how the state wants to see it, and that's how it gets filed to the state when we do our annual financial report.
Okay.
So there is a breakdown of revenues.
That's all, okay. Yeah. Ms. Fabian?
Just wanted to end on a positive note because I know some people weren't here last time, to say congratulations because you guys did receive recognition for excellence in financial reporting. So
Yeah,
thank you.
Wanted to say that I'm very confident in the work they do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, and so am I. I met the ASBO team at Tripwire, and they mentioned when they saw that I was from Waukegan, you know, they congratulated the district, because they weren't congratulating me, but it was good that that they just by seeing my badge that they knew that our accounting system is good. So, all right. If there are no other, Mr. McBride, I almost forgot you, man. But I did.
It wouldn't have, it would have been a problem because we've been talking tonight quite a bit.
Yeah.
But to your point, Mr. Losa, in Chicago right now, the assessor's office for taxes being raised and the public knowing where their money is going, there's a simple program that they have. A third grader can almost look at it and tell every line item how the money is being spent and where it's going. So I would advise you to just take a note of that. And like I said, a third grader can be able to determine, just look at it and say, well, my money is going here, so and so and so and so. So it's line item for everything the money is going towards.
Well, that's good. I might understand it then. If it's a third grader.
Right. Well, I'm just saying that a third grader can really understand it. But when you look at it, I mean, to Ms. Hannah's point, and again, what we're talking about has been talked about, I guess, as far as I know, for the last 12 years, this levy talk and taxes and whatnot. So it's a no-brainer for me. I already, my decision, when the time comes, I already know what I'm going to do, so I don't need to be even sitting there having a whole lot of discussion. And I heard Made mention that when it does happen, that it be specific earmarked for certain things like the track field, the new high school. All that sound good, but anyway, with that said, that I done said enough. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so if everyone has, we have Ms. Philibert.
Said as well, I would make sure that you have a very clean and clear document of where your inventory and things are. If you're spending grant money for the DL department, I don't care if it's on TVs, computers, whatever it is, it better be in that department. If those items are in some other department being used for any other department, you better make sure it's not, because when that audit comes through, we're gonna be looking at that. I'm gonna be looking at that. So if you have items being used by any other department, where there's grants that were given, or Title I funds, whatever it was, for those items, better not see it being used by a bilingual department, or gen ed department, or what math department. It better be in the department that it's supposed to be, like DL.
All right.
Make sure that audit's straight.
And just
One more question.
To close out to what Jeff said, I get what you're saying. You said as far as the money being earmarked for certain things. If that community is asking for it to be earmarked for certain things, that's what it should be for. After all, the board's supposed to speak on behalf of the community. So I think that's where we have some say in. So if we want it to be earmarked for a new high school, since we're raising it up and since we are the ones paying it, I think we should be looking at a new high school, a new track field, because that Waukegan Brookside track field, that football field, all of that over there has been the same for almost 30 plus years. Our kids are not proud of where they're from. They don't feel confident when they're playing over there. And then I feel bad for even our visitors when they come. So yeah, listen to the community as it relates to that.
All right. So I would like to entertain a motion to close our hearing.
So moved.
The adoption of the tax levy for tax year 2023. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We got a motion to close the hearing for Mr. Riddle and a second by Mr. McBride. And if there's nothing else, meeting is closed. Next on the agenda is the adoption of the property tax levy for tax year 2023.
Yeah, 55 million.
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education approve the aggregate levy at the amounts attached totaling $55,438,410.10 and authorize the superintendent, the treasurer, or her designee to submit the information to the Lake County Clerk's office no later than the last Tuesday in December.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And we got a motion by Mr. Riddle and a second by Mr. McBride. Are there any comments or questions?
I'm just going to reiterate my comment that we are looking at this as an insurance policy, and we will have a set date prior to the end of March, April deadline to discuss. My expectation is we will try to have town halls, and if we are going to increase, there should be some sort of referendum to identify the influx of funds for what it's being allocated for, whether an immediate future or further down the road when we're looking at other things.
Any other comment?
I have one.
Ms. Gonzalez?
You know, for what it's worth, I think that talking about taxes is never easy, especially when we consider what we are spending taxes on nationwide. It is very concerning that, you know, nationally Congress can figure out 14 billion, you know, for wartime efforts. But then we sit and discuss, you know, the kind of money that we need for our schools, and it's a big issue. So, you know, I want the community to know and understand that I think we need a stake. I need, you know, people to know that we're not raising taxes because we want to. We can't afford to be left behind. Our students can't afford to be left behind. And, you know, when I say yes to this and I look toward the future, I'm looking at students just like me who needed the investment, and I'm looking at students just like Gurney students and Zion students and North Chicago students. And I'm saying that everyone who lives here deserves to live here, deserves to have a really healthy school system, and we're getting better every year. And that we need more support from the higher ups, right? So I think this is a little step in the road so that we don't lose that base. And I think that I really believe that there are programs that will come about and that exist already to help people stay here and live here in our community, because, you know, a lot of people who are making more money exit Waukegan, and I don't want that to happen either. So that's kind of my rationale, and I hope that people understand that our students need this investment now, and it's a really difficult investment to make. But like Ms. Polk was saying, if we don't talk about it now, we lose that base, and what's going to happen later down the road when we need even more money, right? Because we've already missed opportunities to patch some of the projects that we need to get going on.
Thank you. No,
That's insulting.
okay, and
That is absolutely insulting to somebody who's actually been in the military. That's ridiculous.
okay, and I am going to, we are in the stage of voting and comment time. I'm gonna make my comment. I understand about the levies and everything, but there's one thing that we may be missing, is that regardless of what anybody says, and we could talk about the future, okay, and that's okay. However, we're talking about right now, and there are many people in our community that are hurting. We have many people that that don't have a six-figure income. We don't have people that we got many single-family homes. We got elderly people in our community. There's different programs and so forth to stabilize their tax liability for themselves. But right now, until things get more stabilized, and I would like to see more progress coming out of the school district, prioritizing you know, I am all for putting more money into all the efforts of teaching our children how to read. Literacy is the first and foremost priority that we should be looking at, because once a child can read, the world is opened up to them. And so, that's my comment, and I'm going to, if there's nothing else, I'm going to call a question and call a roll call. No, you read it.
Go ahead.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
No.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes, for the reasons that I previously mentioned. And one other component is we're focusing on Weisfield, but we also want everyday physical education for our students to keep them healthy. So getting gymnasiums into our schools should also be a priority if we go down this route.
All right, and so the motion, oh, Ms. Fabian? Yeah, she
I'm
yeah,
the last one.
yeah. Yeah, the motion passed, and it's passed. Mr. Lewisa. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the hard work. All right, the next item on the agenda are committee reports. Are there any committee reports?
No, you're right.
Are there any committee reports? There are. I have a report. I had a committee report, a committee meeting yesterday with the literacy, with the teaching and learning department, and I am so glad that that our teaching and learning are going into teaching our students in the science of reading, and the rollout of it is happening, and I don't know how in the heck I can get to this. Oh.
Hey, John, let me see that Kwanzaa flyer.
Okay. All right. Okay, and so we did have a meeting, and I do have something that was sent to me. I'm just looking for it. If you guys be patient with me here.
Are you looking for those dates?
This is so very important, and it is my passion. It's my passion that we are that we are focusing and going to focus on all levels of teaching children to read. Anyway, we're going to have. Are you going to be talking about meetings or no? Oh, okay. All right, and so, all right, so we will. I'll suspend my comments, and I will piggyback with the superintendent. And so, and the delegates report, I don't have a delegates report. There is a legislative breakfast that I am hoping that we could all go to, if possible. I know that there's a few I think we got 4 or 5 board members already signed up. And again, you guys, we're trying to get that award, okay, for that annual award. But
Apologies, Ms. Hannah. Wasn't the deadline for that yesterday?
I think we can still get you in if you really wanted to go.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Mr. Riddle.
Yeah, I would just report that I did attend virtually a wellness committee meeting. It was the first day of our conference on Friday. And there is going to be a recommendation from the wellness committee to do, to encourage our schools to do a Illinois youth survey. And so members of the wellness committee are going to be meeting with some principals to discuss that with them. And if we have consensus, that will be coming back to the board for attention, to encourage our principals to do this Illinois Youth Survey, which is something that hasn't been done for quite a while. I think there was just one of our schools, it might have been Juarez, that did it last year.
Right.
So I'll get you more information on that
Thank you,
coming forward.
Mr. Riddle. Any other committee reports? Okay, if not, we'll go to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. So I just want to cover some important dates that are coming up. This Friday and Saturday, we have the Madrigal Dinner. I know I will be attending with many of our board members, so that's always a wonderful event. We have a number of winter and holiday concerts performance beginning very soon. Please look for that information to be coming out from the district office. My understanding is that it will be coming out Friday, listing the events and venues, times, locations at our different schools for elementary, middle school, and high school. There is a District Institute Day on December 11th with no attendance for our students. We will have a board meeting on December 12th and 19th. As Ms. Hannah says, we have 2 more board meetings this month. And the final day of attendance for our students before they go on winter break will be December 22nd. The end of first semester with record day with non-attendance for students will be January 8th. And the first day back for all of our students will be January 9th. If we can go to the next slide. And I'm going to tag team here with Miss Hannah because she was going to bring up these dates, and these are the dates she was looking for. So all of our parents have received a letter stating that our academic department will be hosting town halls to review curriculum regarding the science of reading. And I know that Ms. Hannah has been very involved. The first one will be November 29th at Carmen Buckner Elementary School. The second one will be December 5th at Whittier Elementary School. And the last one will be December 6th at Oakdale Elementary School. Ms. Hannah, I know you wanted to say something here, so I'll just let you.
Well, I just want to know that we also, during the meeting, we talked about different media outlets so that we can get this information out to the public so that they will be informed and they will, we will have more in attendance. And I'm just going to say it how I said it in the meeting, that I don't want to come to the meeting and no one's in the audience except the administration and the board members. We want parents to come out so that they can understand and hear what we are planning for their child's education, particularly for their literacy and reading. And so hopefully we are going to use different media outlets. I know the one tomorrow, it's kind of too late, but we have December 5th and December 6th where we really need to push to get the information out to the faculty so that they could come out. okay, because they are the true stakeholders. That's it.
Sorry, really quick question. So for families that don't have childcare, are they able to bring their kids? Will there be activities for the kids separately? Was that a consideration?
So I do not know if there's going to be activities for the kids, but I do know that if you need to bring your children, please bring your children. They usually do have like color, worksheets and stuff like that to engage children. But I think this is a really important opportunity for our parents because you can actually speak with the curriculum publishers that work with them, not the actual publisher. But definitely representatives for the companies, and you can ask questions. You can even review the curriculum that will be on display at these meetings. Right. So it's really, really crucial that you come out and participate and have a say on what curriculum we're looking at and going with for the upcoming school year. The next slide.
I have a question.
So, I'm sorry.
In relation to the town hall meetings, are they going to be in multiple languages?
There will always be translation, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez.
Ms. Fabian?
I just want to add, because Ms. Hannah talked about multiple avenues of communication. So this is a good time for families to also check to see if they're not receiving the information. Because as a parent, I did receive a text message and an email to the links that's posted online. So if you're a parent that isn't receiving those text message and you're not receiving those emails, it's a good time to double check with your school and what's going on, update your info.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Fabian.
And so now we'll go into our African American Male Achievement Plan and some community design thinking sessions. On December 6th, here at Lincoln Center, the Equity Task Force Group will receive their orientation. And after that, on December 14th, the African American Task Force will meet. So the Equity Advisory Group is going to come together, and then all the groups, because there's a number of groups, will break off. And the first meeting for our African American Male Achievement Task Force will be December 14th at 6 o'clock here at Lincoln Center. And then there'll be a second meeting December 21st at Carmen Buckner Elementary School from 6 to 7. The sessions will focus on the current data. We'll be looking at some case studies and engaging the community around discussion on what are best practices and what are we seeing in our data and what supports and systems that we can put in place to ensure the success of all of our African American male students within our district. Thank you. That's all of my report.
All right. Thank you. Can we have the agenda back on the... Thank you. All right, and okay, and there is some old business on the agenda. Board Policy 2102, Board Policy 3515, and we are going to hold those over until the next meeting, board meeting. And at this time now on the agenda is board member time. Let's start with Ms. Fabian.
Just a couple of things going on this weekend. The holiday tree lighting ceremony for the city is December 2nd at 5 p.m. at the Jack Benny Plaza. And I know some of our students will be in attendance and will be performing, so it'd be nice to see the community out to support and encourage them. And then there is a Kris Kringle Artist Market at the Public Library on December 2nd as well from 1 to 8 p.m.
Thank you. Ms. Gonzalez?
We're popcorning.
Board member time?
Yes. Thank you for everyone who came out, everyone who's tuning in virtually. Thank you for everyone who shared the events, the second day of Kwanzaa that Brother Blanks showed. He left us the flyer. And then Mr. Edwards has a December to Remember that he gave us a flyer for. It's going to be Sunday, December 17th at Milan Banquet Hall, starting at 1:30 p.m. One other thing that I wanted to share before we forget is that today is Giving Tuesday. It's the big call. I know, we forgot. it's the big call of action to our community members and anyone who is willing to donate, whether big or small, to an organization of their choice. So we've gotten a call from Three Brothers Theater to support their programming. We've gotten a call from the Waukegan Schools Foundation to support their scholarships and their efforts. And there's a lot of Waukegan College is like $300 short of their goal to fundraise for their organization. And there's so many other orgs that locally are raising funds either for scholarships, for programming for our students, for classes, sessions, sports sessions of some kind. So if you can donate a little bit or budget for something, this month or next month for the holidays, be sure to participate, or, grab a dollar from each of your family members to support. And we have a lot of stuff coming up event-wise for the school, as some folks mentioned. So come out, and that's pretty much it. Oh, and I do want, because I don't say it as often, and Miss Hannah says it often too, is I do want to express my condolences to the families who have lost loved ones this year. The season is going to be very different for a lot of our school communities and a lot of our families. So I'm really praying for you guys to have a joyous holiday season and one of peace, because we know it's been a really difficult year. But that's pretty much it for me.
Thank you. Ms. Lindsay.
So I had the pleasure of attending the III conference for the very first time. And there were a lot of good presentations and a lot of good information to take away from it. I attended the Equity Immersion event on Thursday before it kicked off, and our previous state superintendent, Dr. Carmen Ayala, she was the opening speaker, and it was all about superheroes, and she framed her superpowers being the phoenix, who constantly went through cycles essentially on her equity journey to make sure that everyone's asking, who are we forgetting, who is not included, to make sure everyone's needs are addressed, and the importance of asset framing. So instead of, as we're venturing into the Black Male Initiative or Achievement Initiative, we're not saying all of the negative things, we are highlighting them for everything that they can do. There was another presentation by Mr. Jim Burgett. He's done this presentation multiple times about the art of school boarding. And he actually does a presentation of what it is to be a school board member, not just for school board members, but also for communities. So that's something that I want to raise with our board president to see if that's something that we can get going, just so that our community can understand what our role is and what it looks like in the larger picture of our education here in Waukegan. They had some great speakers. I was constantly crying, I feel. There was Dr. Terai Trent, and she is, hers was about pursuing your dream and about never giving up. And I wrote down the quote, there's your little hunger and your big hungers. And so your little hunger is what's going to satisfy you now. So maybe getting those Snapchats or those TikTok likes. But we really need to be striving for what's going to fuel you with that greater hunger, what's going to lead you into that more meaningful life. So that was a big takeaway for me of what's our purpose, what are our goals. Another presenter was Bill De La Cruz, and he had a pretty traumatic childhood. But in his presentation, it was about identity and about how we talk about our backstory. So where we come from, who we are, that's our backstory. And his framing was, it's really our front story, because that's who we lead with. What you identify with is how you lead your life. So that's something that we need to be celebrating and being open to everyone's front story. One of the sessions that I attended was around trauma in schools and how we can be better supporting our students. And there are what are known as ACEs, or adverse childhood experiences. And there's 10 of them, and if you have 4 or more, you're more likely to have a harder life. You might find yourself incarcerated, having drug problems. If you have 6 or more, you multiply that by 32 times. And one thing that we need to remember is that while we don't necessarily need to know each individual student's traumas, each individual community member's traumas, we can be working toward building buffers to help guardrail them onto a more productive life, something that they really want to do. So that is building connections and building community and building relationships. So I want to encourage our staff members, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a para, whether you're a safety officer, whether you're a custodian, everyone in our district, just like I did before we started the school year, we need to be talking about our kids as they are. They are great kids. And if we are talking about them from a negative aspect instead of asset framing, we are doing them a disservice. So I just want to reiterate, as we're entering into those holiday seasons where people have different traumas around that, just make sure you're building connections and checking in on everyone, because that's going to make everyone healthier and happier, and school's going to be a better experience for all. So those are some of my bigger takeaways. If you're more curious, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk about it.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay. Mr. Riddle.
Yes, as Ms. Lensing and the rest of the board members, I found the conference inspiring, as I always do. The opportunity to talk to board members from other districts, and then the sessions that I attended, the general sessions as well with the speakers, were just amazing. There were several sessions that I attended, and I don't think any other board members, because there's a lot of sessions you can go to. But one of them that I attended was called Advancing Equity Through School-Based Mental Health Clinics. And this was the Indian Prairie School District, which was able to partner with Edward Elmhurst Healthcare and a grant that they got from the Department of Human Resources to build basically a program in their school district immediately right after school, a mental health counseling session with outside professionals coming in. And this was mostly paid for through grant money. This is something I think we want to check into. I talked with the organizer of that program, and I think it's something we could incorporate through our through our wraparound center. But their superintendent, Dr. Adrian Talley, and Amit Thaker from Referral GPS. He was actually the gentleman they hired as an outside consultant to develop this program and get funding for it, and he did a phenomenal job. All of us that were in attendance thought this program really needs to be duplicated in other school districts. So it's one that I'm going to have an opportunity, I hope, to talk with our superintendent and some of our board members about it. I brought some resources and some contacts to share on that. And then I also heard or attended a conference on the second session that afternoon of how to build an employee-centered district. And again, this was, the organization is called EAB, and they're an educational research company that's based in Washington, D.C., and they work with and partner with school districts to help them improve their service delivery. And I did talk to the superintendent a little bit about this, but they are interested. They will be having other programs that are grant funded that they'll be working with other districts. But one of the things that they did is they helped 2 districts that are near us, one in Algonquin and one in Wheaton, in doing some things to help improve staff morale. It's a problem across the nation. The EAB did some research and found out that teacher satisfaction has just gone through the floor. It's just been gone down and down in recent years, and they found out some things that can really start to improve that. Of course, communication's a big thing, but these 2 districts, the superintendents both worked with EAB and found that they were able to do little things which meant a lot for their support staff and their teaching staff. So it takes time, but it's something that I think we can work on. So I'd like to get with some of our board members and have a chance to do some coffee and talk. I know we have to do it in in small groups. We can't meet as a trio, but we can meet in twos and talk about some of the sessions that you guys attended, because there was some really great stuff, and we could only choose to go to one session, and there may have been 10 others that we could have gone to in that time period. So it was a great conference, and as you said, Ms. Lenzig, I think all of us had an opportunity to learn something from that. And then wishing everyone to have a great holiday that's coming up. Slow down during this busy time period, and enjoy the holiday with family and friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McBride.
Well, as I said here, I try to listen to everybody's reasonings. And Mr. Riddles, we can get together. Ms. Hannah brought it up some time back, and that is a retreat. That's what a retreat for.
Absolutely.
But to your point, Mrs. Lindsay, the ACEs been around a long time. Who really need to really get a grasp of the ACEs is our special ed department. Because our special ed department, what happens is our kids start with ACEs, then they wind up in special ed.
Yeah.
And then from special ed, they wind up being outsourced. But if they really understand the philosophy of ACEs, that wouldn't even happen.
Absolutely.
But I attend the conferences on school board members, young school board members.
Okay.
It was dealing with 2 school board members, which they have in Skokie.
Student?
Got to use the mic there.
Anyway, they have 2 of them, just so you know. And it was very enlightening, because Skokie is unlike Waukegan. The demographics, they have Jewish people, they have people from all over different countries and whatnot in their district, where at one time it just used to be more or less Jewish, but now they got a conglomeration of a little bit of everything. So the school board members, they'll have to deal with a lot when they go out to the schools. But what I found out that I thought that we need to understand, that was brought to the board members, was asked, what is something that you can put your hand on to say that you actually really achieved for the whole school district?
Absolutely.
And at some point, I'd like for you to bring that back to us, because other than, you do a lot of presentations and whatnot, but I really want to hear something concrete where you can say that, you could really say that while you've been sitting here, you really brought something to the district. You with me? Yes. And the other conference I went to was dealing with first comers, newcomers. And that was very enlightening to me, because, you see what's going on around you, but you really don't understand it. I understood it more when I went to the conference. And there's a lot of Hispanic families with kids having difficult times because of the fact they don't understand our English. And when they don't understand our English, especially when they come here, they have no idea what a playground is like, because they probably never seen a playground. They have no idea how to turn lights and stuff on when they're in the building. So all that, when I was listening to conference, it helped me understand that we could be doing a little bit more than what we're doing. And as I can't think of your name out there. What's your name? Tanya. Yeah, I appreciate your works, and I'm sure you know it's needed, especially because of the fact you said you grew up here, so you understand exactly where I'm coming from when people don't really understand what's going on around them here once they get here. And I was at the high school Saturday working with Mike Gonzalez with the new initiative program that you got going on after school dealing with young men. And I don't know who she is, but program over there dealing with first comers. And newcomers, I keep saying, well, newcomers. But it's just the little simple things that I think that we could be doing as a board to help them out. Just little bitty things. Just a lot of times, just small syllables. 3 words, a little bit of that to them. That's a lot. And if they're and we already know when we look at Chicago, we getting ready to deal with that ourselves. I don't know when, but it's coming. So we need to start preparing ourselves and putting programs in place to deal with that. And I just think that we can be mano a mano and all the other programs that's out there. So I just think we need to do a little bit more, because we don't talk about it here. We talk about a whole lot of other things, but to me that's it just broke my heart when I come out of that conference. Anyway, I think I've said enough as always. Have a good night, everybody, and I'm sure that our captured audience, most of them probably getting ready to go to bed right now. or either in bed.
But thank you, Mr. McBride, and you are correct. And I thank everybody for attending the conference. I attended some really interesting classes. Look, mandate. It was called Mandate Here, Mandate There, Mandates Everywhere, and it was really, really interesting about the funded mandates, and then the many, 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 many unfunded mandates that that school districts have to deal with, you know, and got to find the money somewhere. I attended with Dr. Nault and Dr. Cesario, real world board scenarios, and it was very, very enlightening. And we talked about real issues, and that was just really really amazing what we talked about. I also attended with Miss Lindsay and I think wasn't Mr. Berry, Mr. Berry with the superintendent employment contracts. I learned a lot. Learned a lot from that, and if we do a retreat, we can all talk about stuff. And then one of the most memorable class that I attended again with Miss Lindsay, and was with State Superintendent Tony Sanders. And I mean, he is one of my people that I just really love, and from the first time I saw him on TV in an interview, I'm like, oh yeah, he is so down to earth, and he is about the children's education. And he said that the accountability, it's coming. He said accountability is coming. And so that's great. But the conference was very enlightening, very meaningful, and I understand that you know, sometimes the citizenry has issues with going to conferences and stuff, as well as sometimes I do too. But when attending the conferences, you learn a lot that you're able to bring back to your school district. So, and with that, I want to acknowledge Mr. Subeki. Your birthday is today, and happy birthday, sir! Everyone, yeah. Thank you for being an involved parent. Always here for the school boards. Thank you so much for what you do. And with that, are there any legal reports? No legal reports? All right.
I think we should congratulate Mr. Hinojosa, who has been chosen a second year for the, can you tell us a little about that? Your state board, advisory board?
Oh, yeah. A few months ago, the Illinois State Board of Education renominated me and a few others, juniors and seniors, to continue on our work at the Student Advisory Council, which is a group of 24 students across the state that talks about policy with key legislative and education officials at ISB to really create a policy to present in Springfield in April to the Illinois Board of Education to potentially be added as policy for the state.
Congratulations.
All right, and with that, I pray everyone had a great Thanksgiving. And with that, can I
Motion
get
to
a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
It's
Second.
been motioned and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, there's no nays, and we are